Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the fourth edition of the Innovation Café of GS1 Belgium and Luxembourg. Today, we will be covering the topic of GS1 SMART-Box. I hope you can all enjoy yourself because, as you know, the cafes are still closed in Belgium. So we hope you especially enjoyed this one. So grab yourself a coffee, enjoy the session. We have a great lineup of guest speakers, so we're very excited. The session will be from 2 to 4 p.m. And I am Karen, and I'm working as Innovation Manager at GS1 Belgium and Luxembourg, but I won't be doing the talking today. So we are very excited to have Wouter Schaekers of P&G being the main host of this session today, and he is the Vice President of the Board of GS1 Belgilux. But before I give the floor to Wouter, I'm just going to cover some practical topics first, starting with our antitrust caution, which we always have to show, saying that GS1 Belgium and Luxembourg will not enter into any discussion, activity or conduct that that may harm any competition laws. So we are not here to discuss anything about commercially sensitive information, such as strategies, pricings, etc. This will not be done before the meeting, during the meeting, or after the meeting. Just some practical guidance when you're new to the platform as well. So as you can see on the top right, you can unfold several tabs. We have a chat tab where we can all greet each other, for example, right now. We have a questions tab where you can ask your questions, and it's very handy because if you ask your questions in the questions tab, then you can actually rate each other's questions as well. So the ones that are the highest rated, they will be bumped to the top and they will be asked first. We will also ask you some polls just to be interactive and to get your feedback. And you can also see who is joining here when you go to the people section. You can also mute your notifications. If the notification sound is driving you crazy, then please go ahead. You can mute it. And also, if you would like to see this in full screen, if you only have one screen, for example, you can click on the right bottom on the box, but you can also do it in your browser itself. And you can see here, it's the same box that you have to click the square pictogram, and then you can see everything in full screen. Okay. So before I give the floor to Wouter, I would like to emphasize again, please do not hesitate to give us your feedback, to put anything in the chat, to ask your questions. We will have a Q&A session every time a presenter has done their presentation. And then we can ask your questions live, but also within the chat function, within the questions tab. So please feel free to ask anything. And let's get started. So Wouter, the floor is all yours.
All right, thank you. So good afternoon, everybody. As Karen said, it's my pleasure to host this session. I would love to be together with you somewhere in a nice room, right, where we can talk face to face, but unfortunately, that's not a reality today. Now, the good thing is, right, that rather than delaying these cafes, we took the opportunity to move them digital. And guess what? Now we have twice the audience, and we're potentially reaching even more people, more parties. So in that sense, let's see it as a good thing. Now, before we talk innovation, let's take a step back, right? And why are we really talking about SMART-Box and other innovation topics? It's all because it's surfing upon the purpose of GS1, and more specifically on the master plan we have put in place with the leadership team that we call the strategic plan. Pretty much there is 4 goals I would like to emphasize, because you will see they will all come back, all 4 of them today, which is of course perfect. So the first thing is that we say, look, whatever we do in GS1, with retailers, with suppliers, with the GS1 team, it's all around creating value, right? It's not about setting standards for the sake of having a standard. Whatever we do, it's around driving value. That's the first thing, the second thing, and the third thing, if you want. Secondly, sometimes, when we think about standards, people say, yeah, it's about the barcode, it's about physical, or it's about creating master data in the system. It's not one or the other one. You will see more and more with all the new trends that are happening, the connection between the physical and the digital world is more tight than ever, right? So this is really something like a new context in which we're operating. Third, I think what is important is that as GS1, right, we want to be an enabler. And again, you will see later on where GS1 Germany talking is exactly what they have been doing. They are facilitating. It's not just about waiting until the industry says, look, that's what we need, please do it. It's really about driving the process from the early start, the design up to the delivery, really making sure that as GS1 community, right, we are creating value for our members. And in order to do that one, really where we said we want to drive a step change, and as such, it's a goal on itself, is we want to be an innovator. And obviously, that's one of the reasons why we have these innovation cafes in place, really making sure we're reaching the full community. So if you want to say, look, how can you recap that in one sentence? In the end, it's all around contributing to the efficiency in the value chain for all the stakeholders. And how do we do that one? By anticipating future trends. So we're well ahead of what's happening. We're not needing to wait for the globe to tell us what to do. We're really partnering up retailers, suppliers, and kind of supporting parties, making sure we shape the future across the different market organizations. So as said, this is, let's call it the mission in the master plan. So what does this now really specifically mean in the area of innovation? You know, we can do many things. And the big pitfall when you talk on innovation is that you come up with some, call it funky solutions that are nice to do. You know, it's nice to play around with it. But, you know, first of all, you cannot do everything. And secondly, having a nice solution for the sake of it is not driving a lot of value, right? So in order to be very focused to drive innovation, we have 3 areas that we decided a year ago, which is transport and logistics sector. It's all around circular economy that is coming up, and it's about having trusted data quality, both to serve the business cases of today, as well as the business cases of tomorrow. So again, you know, I think for those that have heard a bit about SMART-Box, and for the other ones in the end of the session, I mean, it's awesome, right? That all 3 of these topics are actually covered with the SMART-Box. So there is no force fitting at all to fix it, to link it into our master plan. So if we say, look, we know why we're doing it in the master plan, we know where we want to zoom in on the focus areas, how do we then want to bring it to life? Well, this innovation cafe is one of the vehicles. It's not the only thing happening. We have an innovation team in GS1, we have a committee, we have several activities. But really the objective of this innovation cafe, as Karen already mentioned, right? We want to build a community, because it's not one party that knows the truth that will define the new standards. Everybody is playing a role with it. And, you know, so we want to make sure that we're really informing you early on, so you're aware. We want to get your early feedback and your late feedback right through all the phases of the process. And all around, you know, we want to partner up within this together, and we want to learn as soon as we can, because we can think forever about a theoretical solution, but it's much better, you know, to start small, to learn from it, and then to scale it up. So this is really the intent of the innovation cafes. In the end, you will see also Karen is asking for input on the concept. By all means, right? We do this thing typically on a quarterly basis, but this is really something we want to keep on fueling. So if you have any ideas how we can make it better, even better. So what we did in the previous cafes, just as a bit of a recap, right? We talked about blockchain, not as blockchain on itself, but on how it can really potentially be a solution to drive more effective pallet management. We talked about artificial intelligence, right? Could this play a role to improve our data quality in a more automated way? We talked last time around the Holy Grail project, really, which is all around circular packaging, adding digital watermarks on it to improve sorting. And of course, today, right, we go to a new challenge. And I would say it's really into the area of supply chain. And again, trying to visualize it a little bit, I would say there is many supply chain leaders or logistics leaders in this call today. I think this challenge, what is on the screen, is not new to you, right? On one hand, you have your manager whispering in your ear, where are my cost savings? Where is my profitability? How can we save costs? How can we avoid this? How can we do that? And on the other hand, right, you want to do what is right for the planet, for the environment, and reduce your emission footprint. And very often, you know, people feel, sense, experience on day-by-day basis. These seem to be conflicting. Now, the good thing is, maybe this was true 10 years ago, but now more and more, there are actually good solutions on the market, or new solutions like SMART-Box that are being worked that actually prove these are compatible. And very often you see actually that cost and sustainability go hand in hand. So pretty much if you say, look, what is the challenge we have in front of us? can we prove on SMART-Box, right, that it's feasible? So it's really doing the trick, you know, the boxes are not collapsing, etc. Is it feasible? Is it sustainable? So is it reducing our footprint? And is it profitable for all the stakeholders? We know that if we can check off these 3 success criteria, you know, the likelihood is going to be very high that we can implement this solution. So, of course, why GS1 SMART-Box? I mean, I think it's already answered in the previous slides, right? So why SMART-Box? Because there is a real challenge, there is a real issue, and you will see later on more specifically what are the challenges. You also see there is a solution, literally, right? So you have the box in front of you here, and you will see it coming back. So it looks like, you know, a simple box, quote unquote, can really deliver very complex, a very complex business case. So I'm really excited on it, even though we're still very early in the journey. It's super promising, super compelling. Just looking already at the audience today, you will see it's not a small thing, right? It has a lot of potential. It has a lot of magnitude already on the players that are on site. So if you look at the agenda, right, how are we going to approach this topic today? We have speakers, you know, that are really covering the full supply chain. And every one of these speakers is going to look at it from his or her angle. You will see a bit of overlap, but that's fine, right? You're talking one supply chain, so it's logical that things are connected. But we really do believe that if you look from the different angles, you know, there is different benefits, different risks, different opportunities, different challenges. So we want to give you a fully transparent view, no hidden, you know, in all transparency, we want to learn together. So really take the opportunity to listen, to learn, take the opportunity to drop your questions in the chat, as Karen explained. After every speaker, we have a bit of time for specific topics. If not, we do it in the end of the session, or even we do it offline. So all in all, it's really make sure you use this opportunity to learn about SMART-Box and then to really define how you can play a role in your company. So the next speakers, as we said, right, so we're first going to go to the GS1 Germany team with Nadine and Matthias. Then we're going to go through Dirk from the Colruyt group. We're going to go with Jochen from UTZ. Then we have Dirk from the IPP, Reinhard, first Tim from L'Oréal, and then Reinhard from P&G. So again, very compelling agenda, very motivated, passionate speakers, and that's even an understatement. So I hope at the end of this session, right, you're all ready to sign up and to do your fair share to drive this transformation. All right, so I think, Karen, the floor is yours again.
Yes, just for a brief moment, it's just to hear your feedback. We will launch some poll questions, 2 poll questions, which you can normally see right now. And the first one is to ask you about how familiar are you with the topic of GS1 SMART-Box? That way we can have a better sense of your background and the level of detail we might need to give.
Well, it looks like a good reason to do the Innovation Café, right? Look at it's meeting the expectations, so that's very nice to see. Yes. And I hope at the end of the session, you know, the scores will be flipped to that they are comfortable now, but excellent news.
Okay, perfect. Let's go to the second poll. Why are you here? Well, it's good to know that people are almost equally interested in GS1 SMART-Box as well as what GS1 is working on in general. So that's also good to know. All right, so let's get started. I welcome GS1 Germany to the floor. We have Nadine and Matthias that are able to give you the general information about the project. Hi, Nadine. Hi, Matthias. Go ahead.
Thank you, Karen, for the invitation. I hope you hear me well.
Yes, it's perfect.
Perfect. Nadine is joining later at the Q&A session. So I will be the presenter for the GS1 project, GS1 SMART-Box. So, well, this is really good. Okay. Just 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, a number of manufacturers and retailers thinking over process optimization in the receiving of goods at the retailers and delivering of goods by manufacturers like Procter & Gamble or L'Oreal, for instance. And we have almost the situation today that most of the deliveries are done by cardboard boxes delivered on pallets, on Euro pallets regularly. And the first thing in a lot of cases is that these boxes will be depalleted at the retailer's warehouse. And most of them are just opened in the first stage just to repack them into returnable crates, just circulating in the retailer's warehouse. And this is a kind of a process, an unnecessary process, and this is also a lack of used cardboard boxes, and we could save waste if we just think over to optimize these processes in this stage. So this was the beginning of SMART-Box. And if we look at some benefits, there might be some stacked pallets almost used by because of low rotation products are not ordered in high numbers by retailers, so there will be e-pack pallets or even these stacked pallets that you see on the left hand. And if we could change this and not deliver, I would say, a lot of wood instead of products, so there's optimizing potential on loading capacity, and in the end we can reduce pallet space in the transport sector. And so this is also a question of delivery cost in the end. Well, this was one of the benefits. And if we think a bit more, we have these processes at the retailer warehouses. On the left hand, you can see the first step in the warehouse where they just open these cardboard boxes and repack it into their returnable crates used in these conveyor systems to pick in line and make the right numbers of goods for the outlets they use, because there are a lot of products in these even in this drugstore sector which are very small, and even if you have small sizes of cardboard boxes, there could be a number of 200 or 300 items in it, and this is much too much for an outlet. And so we have also a process of picking smaller sizes, smaller numbers of items for the retailer's outlet. And therefore the manufacturers and the retailer thought, why do we pack these goods into these cardboard boxes just to repack it in the retailer's warehouse? So why couldn't we just start from the beginning of the production line with a returnable crate? This was I would say the hour of birth of the SMART-Box system. So if we look at the standard, like the GS1 standard, we have to meet some more criteria than just to have a returnable crate, because there are a lot of returnable crates used by the retailers right now, And we just had first we had a look on all these crates, and then in the end we decided to create a brand new standard crate, the SMART-Box, because we had to meet some more criteria. Regularly we have to meet the criteria of modularity, to have optimal size of pallets, and also meeting with loading space capacity. And also we had defined in further stages some things like loading heights. If you remind the efficient unit load 1 or 2, and this is just a thing of having stacked pallets, or not sandwich pallets, so stacked pallets of 240, or just building crates up to 240, so we can just save these pallets used. And this was also a criteria we exactly reach with the current size of the SMART-Box. So if we look in the future, today we have a criteria that every product has to be sent out with some information about the product. So not only the article number, the G10, so also we have to inform about charge numbers, or best before date, or something like that. And this in every delivery. And if we look in the future, there may be additional potential for saving, because we do not need these labels in the future, because the SMART-Box just has its own label. It's a kind of label with a barcoding system, and it's a serial number, which makes every crate a unique crate. And if we just combine these informations, the product information, with a serial number of the SMART-Box, we could use this for better processes, and we can get rid of these product labels in the long run. So this is a kind of additional potential of savings in the future. So next one, what is the SMART-Box? The SMART-Box is based on two ground sizes, 600 and 400, and we are thinking about another ground size of 300, 400, and we will have different heights. Our first type of SMART-Box is 600, 400, and 211 height, and we are just thinking about another height for different products, and we will just carry out a box family in the end. And we had to meet some criteria with the process, even the conveyor systems, with increasing numbers of conveyor systems at the retailers and also at the manufacturers. We will see more and more of these returnable crates there. And another thing was that the retailers wanted to have a kind of shutter for easier picking process. You saw in some of these photos before. This is not given with the current crates the retailers use, and not even with a standard crate. And a third criteria was that because of these product labels, I said before, we had to remove after circulation the product label, and therefore we created a net field that have to carry the label through the process, but after the circulation, we have to easily remove these pallets, these product labels in the end. And this is also criteria for saving costs in the pooling process, as Dirk will show later. So, and beside the identification standards based on GS1 standards, we had also meet some criteria with the fire protection requirements, because in the current stage we will see a lot of cardboard boxes and pallets, and if we just change from cardboard to a plastic crate, this will meet some other requirements for fire protection reasons. So next one. The second big question was, so we will have a standard crate now, and how can we manage to get this crate optimal through the process? And therefore, we were thinking about designing returnable cycles. In the first stage, we had to find a pooling provider with IPP through a tendering process, but meeting compliance criteria and creating open competition in the long run, we will have to define a body of rules for an open pool operation, so that some more pool providers could join and will just circle the same kind of box, not even a branded box. So we will have the same kind of box, the same color, same technique, and this has to be regulated in an open pool operation, so that we can have a perfect situation for the users of the box, for the retailers, and the manufacturers in the end. And you see some criteria which we will have on the pooling operation. So the manufacturers and the retailers want to have low complexity. We really need, because all of these conveyor systems, a high standard of quality, so that nothing happens through the conveyor process, and in the end there should be no sorting effort. Therefore, we are looking to have an open pool operation with the same box at every pooling provider. And yeah, if we have an open competition in that, in the long run, we will have a maximum service at low cost for the users of the box. So if we look in the future and dealing with GS1 standards, we can have also an optimized process by identifying and carrying all this information. Where is the box at which stage, and is it at the manufacturer, or is it just running into or out of the depot of the pooling provider? And with these identification carriers given, so we have two kind of barcodes, data matrix and the regular GS128 standard barcoding, and also we have RFID transponder, RFID tag with the box. There should be the possibility, given that we can identify at every interface between the stakeholders what is happening with the box, and which place and when and why. And so we could define a perfect information system and tracking system for the SMART-Box, and this could be also gain efforts for the stakeholders within this whole process. But we've just started, and I hope Dirk will show you a bit about this at the pooling provider. In the long run, we are looking that, yes, perfect. And in the long run, we're looking to have this at also at the manufacturer, retailers, or maybe at the transport system. So one of the really difficult stages in the whole process was to get a commitment between all these stakeholders, because we had to create a brand new tool for the SMART-Box, and this kind of invest that had to be done in the end. And so for everyone doing this invest in the end, had to be a bit of security that this invest is not just undergoing things. So we had to define the binding commitment between retailers and manufacturers that the goods delivered in the GS1 SMART-Box will be accepted, and we had to find some contracts between retailers or manufacturers with a pooling provider, and in the end the SMART-Box manufacturer, namely UTZ, was done the invest into the SMART-Box tool, and so we have a whole system, and yeah, to minimize the risk for everybody, and to have a perfect process in the end. So where are we now? We did a lot of steps into the whole process, and our last thing was a testing of a pre-production of these smart boxes. You see some slides before. We had a gray version of these smart box, and since the pre-series boxes passed all these tests, since last week there was production. We started the production with for the series boxes, and they will be delivered step by step to the manufacturers. And yeah, we're just looking on running this system in the next few weeks, and we're looking forward to have this at the retailers in a few weeks. So what do we expect for the next stages? So we started in a small area named the drugstore sector, and there was so we had to think over about product criteria and something like that. And in the long run, we want to get out of the German market, where we just set the first steps here, and maybe there are some other branches like sweets or textile or DIY or something like that. And for every case, the SMART-Box could be used as the perfect returnable crate. It should be used, and if we just reach a high number, a high volume of these boxes, in every stage there will be a scalability of potentials, and this could be good for prices and for processes as well in the end. So these are the companies. We have L'Oreal, we have P&G, and some German retailers, and some more manufacturers across Europe. And yeah, if you like to join the GS1 SMART-Box system, just contact GS1, or just give a call to one of these retailers. Maybe they are your customers, or If you are a retailer, just contact GS1 or one of these manufacturers, and we were lucky to have you into the project and into the SMART-Box family, I would say so. Okay, this was just a short introduction. I hope I could give you some information, and you will get more information by Procter & Gamble, L'Oreal, and IPP, and not to forget Woods. And so, yeah, I have to thank you for your audience, and just if you have questions, just start right now.
All right, we have time for one quick question, if that's okay. I'm going to ask the one that has been rated the highest, which comes from Deleuze. They would like to know, will there be different types of boxes or just a few limited standards?
So as I said before, we are thinking of a SMART-Box family. And I think that the next one will also be based on a crown size of 600 to 400, but will have a different height. But yeah, there could be even more. So we just talk about 6 different sizes, but there's no limitation about that.
Okay, perfect. So there are still a bunch of questions in the questions tab, which is great. Thank you so much for your interactivity. So Nadine and Matthias, if you could have a look at them and give written answers, that would be great. And then we can respect the timing.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And now we can go and have a retailer talking. It's Colruyt Group, Dirk Leemans. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Wouter, to give us the opportunity to speak here at the Innovation Café and to present our business case. So within Colruyt Group, I'm head of Center of Excellence Supply Chain, focusing on innovation and knowledge. But before I do a deep dive in our case, I just want to give you a quick view on Colruyt Group for those who don't know Colruyt. So we are a retail group. More than 80% of our revenue is still linked to our retail activities. But in the meanwhile, we have also 10% wholesale and food service. And last but not least, already 8% of our activities are focused on renewable energy. And that's for me also not a coincidence, but that makes the link to what we call sustainable entrepreneurship. In Colruyt, it's really part of our DNA. And that means for us that in every project we do, we really make the balance between economical factors, social and ecological factors. And this project is really a good fit with this approach. But how did we find out about this GS1 SMART-Box project? Well, since 2019, we are also member of ALICE, the Alliance for Logistics Innovation in Europe. And it's due to one of my contacts there, Fernando, the vice president there. He told me about the MTV project. And it seems that this is the German name for this SMART-Box project. On the other hand, we had also a collaboration already with GS1 Germany in another innovation project called Block for Lock. So it was rather easy for us to get in touch with. Oh, I don't see the slides anymore. Oh, yeah, they are back. So it was rather easy to get in touch, and it became clear that this project really fits also in the sustainable approach of supply chain in Colruyt Group. And how do we see that fit? Well, in the first place, we had a look in the different assortments we have as retailer, and the highest potential we see in our non-food assortment. And you can see here some pictures to give you an idea what is the non-food assortment in Colruyt as a retail company. We are talking about cosmetics, about toys, about books, etc. You could say a very large assortment of products with a rather low rotation. But low is relative, of course. You see, it represents still 40 million pickings every year. A second reason is, of course, and you already saw it in the slides of Matthias, some big suppliers are already part of the project. And if we made a small or a quick calculation, then we saw that almost 50% of the non-food products are delivered by one of these suppliers. So in terms of number of smart boxes, we are talking about on average 4,000 smart boxes every week delivered from one of these retailers, from these retailers together, I mean, for the non-food products. And if we think even farther in the future, we could include also their near food products, then we are even talking about more than 60,000 of these boxes every week. So a large potential. And a third reason, also an important one, is that we have plans to build a new distribution center for these non-food products in one of our sites. It's called Oligny. And we are also thinking about an automation there. The study is going on, so it should be operational within a couple of years. But the timeline is very good, matching with the actual status of the SMART-Box project. If we have a look a little bit more in depth into the process of these non-food articles, then you see, and Matthias was also mentioning it already, you see that we still do a lot of manual handling. All these products are delivered in cardboard boxes, and in 75% of the cases, we just take out the products out of the cardboard box and put them in our own rigid storage crates to put them in our warehouse. Already in the outbound side, you see that we did some adaptations. We used there already a collapsible crate to have less transport volume, of course, when these products are put in the shelves and these boxes are coming back to the warehouse. We have also our own crate washing installation. So a couple of times every year, these boxes are cleaned. So where do we see the potential then if you look to the to-be non-food process? Of course, the biggest economical benefit, we see them in avoiding the manual handling. As I was telling, in 75% of the cases, it's just taking out a box. So if these products could be delivered directly in the right box, in the smart box, then we avoid a lot of manual handling. In 25% of the cases, we could not do this because we need an extra handling, like providing a hook or stapling products together. In certain amount of cases, we also directly do order picking from the cardboard box, but still 75% is a serious amount. And we also see the opportunity there to use the same box throughout the complete chain. That means that also we think that crate washing could be done by the pool owner, of course at a cost, but we can avoid also maintaining and investing in expensive grade washing installations. So having this set, I can give you a summary of what are really the advantages we see with the SMART-Box project. Well, in the first place, of course, a lower cost in our process by avoiding a lot of extra manual handling. Of course, also lower complexity in the process. If we only have one load carrier in the entire process, and not two like today, it's of course a real advantage. We also see some extra flexibility in peak periods. Today we have our own closed loop storage boxes. So if there are serious seasonal peaks, for example, yeah, we have to provide enough storage boxes. Of course, and that's an important one, less waste. If we don't have to recycle all that cardboard, it's of course an ecological advantage. And last but not least, it's based on an open pool with GS1 standards. So we have also the certainty that within a couple of years, we will not end up with as many standards as there are pool owners. So that's for us also a very important factor in this case. And okay, this is the last one. Just to give you a better view on what is the status within Colruyt of this business case. We did not join at this moment I could say the consortium, but we are really considering it very well. We have to check. We already checked some requirements, but we have to check still some things like ruggedness. Also user friendliness, of course, in our processes, but ruggedness especially is an important one, because I could say that yeah, let's say our processes are not that friendly for this kind of cases. So the ruggedness of this collapsible case is important. It was already mentioned by Matthias, but fire safety regulations requirements are also important. You have the legal ones, you have the internal ones, and the dimensions, of course. We have our ideal height of the case, it's 32 centimeter, but we have to see, okay, which dimensions will be available. By joining the consortium, can we have impact also on the number of heights available? So these discussions are going on. And if we have a look in the future, we see also other potential assortments, especially the near food, but also what we call the para-pharma products. We have an online shop. It's called New Pharma, where we sell these para-pharma products. Time-wise, we have to make a decision by end of 2021. It's because of the study which is going on for the automation, and at least or at the latest at the end of this year, we should make a decision about the crate we want to use in this automation. So we have still some time, but on the other hand, we have to make progress and see that we could make the necessary comparisons and evaluations by end of this year. So this was really a quick view on our business case. If you have questions, then you could ask them now, of course.
Hi, Dirk. Yeah, there are some questions. First of all, thank you for the presentation. You're still on the slide, so could you elaborate more on what do you consider to be near food?
Well, near food products. We are talking about shampoos, these kind of products. We have also in our retail assortments, of course, toothpaste, these kind of products.
Okay. And then how will traceability be affected by the GS1 SMART-Box? Will the consumer unit become the leading instead of the carton in the DSADV and SSCC informations? This question is coming from Nutrition et Santé.
Oh, wait. Can you repeat it, Karen?
Yeah. How will traceability be affected by the GS1 SMART-Box? And will the consumer unit become leading instead of the carton in the DSADV and SSCC informations?
I don't see immediately big changes at that level in the process we have today. Of course, it's very important that these boxes will be will have a GRI code, serialized GRI code. We can use in let's say in the track and trace process we have, and we really want to invest in the future more on tracking these assets. Where in the process are these assets? What is coming back to our return center? So having the opportunity, for example, to read an RFID tag, making the link between the products in the box and the box itself, that's not happening today. Our boxes today, they are not they are not equipped with this kind of tag. So we see also a lot of opportunities to in the future using these boxes and these GRI codes.
Okay, perfect. There are still some questions left. If you can have a look at them in the questions tab, that would be great. Wouter, if there's anything that you'd like to add to that?
No, maybe because there was another question indeed on the item versus case linking to the previous question. I think there the current assumption, if I got it right, is that between manufacturer and retailer, right, we keep on shipping, call it on case level or on box level if you want, so one SKU per box. So in that sense, right, it remains as it is, as Dirk said. And if then the retailer, of course, will also use the box within their own shipments between DC and store, obviously that's within the retailer there, right? So in that sense, indeed, until the moment that we would all decide to also ship mixed cases, then things are as they are today. And if not, then it's not linked to SMART-Box, but linked to a different kind of business need, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Thank you, Dirk. If anyone else has any questions, please still use the questions tab and Dirk can monitor the questions. All right. Great. Let's go to the next one. We have Oets. We have Jochen Wessels, who can explain his fair share. Go ahead, Jochen. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. Hey, you hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Jochen Wessels. I'm here in the sales department. Around about 33 years here in the company, and I'm 58 years old. And I have to talk something about the whole project. First, I will talk some things about Oets. Who is Oets? What do we in the market? Then about project, and then some information about the SMART-Box. Who is Oets? I think many from you knows who is Oets. We create and manufactures containers, suitable, sustainable, usable logistic packagings, and make many technical parts over 70 years. And we are a company here in Germany, in Schüttorf. It's near Münster, Osnabrück. But we are a family company. Our headquarters in Switzerland, and we are present in Europe, in Asia, and in US and South America. So we can say that we are the biggest, one of the biggest in the world who produce containers and special solutions. You can see the pictures, and we have 1,200 employees at 8 locations and 3 continents. Here some information about the timeline. Since the beginning in September 2016, we are a member of the project group, and from the first meeting in September 2016 until now, we are member. We developed the boxes until January 2020. Many meetings, many questions, many work, and at the end, in the middle and the beginning of the last year, the GS1 with his member decided that we go live, that we start with the tooling, with the first height with 211 millimeters. And last but not least, in August last year, we start with the toolings, and we get an order about 100,000 boxes. And the first sampling was in January, and the start of production with boxes last week, 20th of April. We go live with the production, and yeah, this was a good feeling that after around about 5 years, we go live and see the results of this whole work. I think many from you knows how the box works. There is an animation. I don't go now in the animation. You can do it after the presentation or the next days. I think you get the whole presentation from us, or from the GS1. You can get it from me. There's possible to send me an email. You see the features in these 3 pictures. We have to, our members have the chance to open the sidewall, the single handling, or the whole sidewall. We have, you have heard it from GS1 from Matthias. We have a barcode, gray code, RFID. It's very important for us and for many members. And we have the noob area for other labels. It's from our e-performance containers. The solution holds in the bottom in case of fire. The water runs off as fast as necessary. We have a double bottom because we have to solve the container with a volume. Here you can see the tool we produce in one shot, the sidewalls, the bottom, and so on. And we have a small tool for the hinges and so on. Last but not least, for us and also for the GS1, it was very, very important for us and shows the good way, the good product, that we get a prize from the logistic magazine Materialfluss. And I think you know this magazine. And last but not least, it was a good feeling for us that we make a good job. The members from the GS1, and also from UTZ. Yes, and that's our words as producer from the GS1 SMART-Box.
Thank you, Jochen. Maybe one question from me, if I may, Karen. So, Jochen, so I see now that you go to kind of production mode, right? So what was the biggest challenge or the biggest barrier you have faced kind of getting to this point, and how did you fix it? So what can we learn on it?
Yeah, the biggest Matthias and knows it. And Nadine, the question was, we have 19 or 20 members, around about 20 members in who works in this project, and everybody has other questions and points to do it for their companies, and that was very, very important. Sometimes difficult, to find the right way that all members say yes, that's the right way that we go, and that is at last the question, how can we do it better, to find quicker solutions and so on, because 5 years to develop a box is very, very long. In my opinion, too long.
Okay. And then maybe one other question. There was a question on what is the material the SMART-Box is made from. So I think it says already it's from polypropylene, right? So
yeah, it's right. It's a polypropylene. It's virgin material, and in the next step is it is impossible to use regrind material. It is impossible, but at the moment about the material situation in the world, we only focused us about virgin material, but we will do in the next step tests what for recycled material can we use, but that's the next step. It is impossible. It is impossible.
All right, good to hear that's possible. That even closes the loop to circular packaging.
Yeah.
Now, Karen, is there any other question for Jochen? I was browsing through it. I didn't really see anything I missed.
There are some quite technical questions, but I see that the other guest speakers are very active in responding, so that's great. So I don't think there's any question to ask live right now, so we can first thank Utz, thank Jochen for your presentation, then we can go to the next one already. So we are very good on schedule, which is great. So we can go to IPP. Dirk, welcome, and the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Dirk Freda. I'm the operational director of IPP Germany, and I will give you some insights on the pooling partner view on the project of the SMART-Box. So I will just start for those that do not know IPP, because you might not everybody of you might know us. We're part of a family of companies, so we're part of the Faber-Habertsma group, which is headquartered in the Netherlands, and we're basically a group of companies that specialize and focus on pooling services, both in the closed pooling, but also services for standardized open pools like the PAL, and also on the meat business. So it's the IPP, which I'm presenting. It's PRS. It's a pooling service provider in the polymer industry. It's Parky, also a very renowned partner in pooling of open source services and standardized load carriers. And under the leadership of Parky, it's also vPool, who's specializing on boxes and services and pallets in the food grade industry. So we're basically, pooling is within our DNA, and we're part of this project. And speaking of Faber, basically we aim for sustainable value and sustainable growth. So we're family owned, still family owned, and we're investing into projects and topics that have sustainable values, and sustainability is also part of our DNA. So we're a group of companies, but nevertheless we are independent. So we are also able to do fast projects and to invest, and also willing to invest and try innovative new projects. Basically, we have a network of over 60 service centers all over Europe. So one of the questions within the question section was, is this a Belgium project? Is it a German project? No, basically it has a European scale, and our service centers and also our organization is built up to serve the whole of Europe with different products. You see some of the products below. It's pallets in different sizes. It's wood, it's plastic. You see the quarter pallet, which is also used heavily in promotions and towards the retailers. So we have a wide range of portfolio within our portfolio. So, and we're continuously developing our portfolio and our services. And this is also why we teamed up with the other group members of the project and said, okay, shall we go towards the SMART-Box? Basically, yes, we did. And we basically have been nominated the initial pooling partner for the rollout of the SMART-Box. Why is that so? First of all, our decision was to go for that because basically the SMART-Box perfectly fits into our strategic portfolio of load carriers and also services. Why is that? Because first of all, we see a lot of synergies with existing flows and products. So lots of already members of this project are parts of our customers. They have load carriers already in use from us, so we deliver to them, we collect from them. So the SMART-Box itself also fits into this flow. So it's not a separate flow, but you have synergies in transport, in order management. So this is why this box then fits into the regular flows. It's a multiple-use approach, this box. So this is something, like I said before, circular economy and sustainability is also part of our DNA because we're focusing on multiple-use approaches, not single ones, not waste management, stuff like this, but use for multiple-use parts. It's an innovative technology. I said before that we're always looking for new ways of developing the services, but also the productive portfolio to serve our customers, both in the industry part, but also the retail part. So we're always keen on getting into new projects like this, and SMART-Box is very innovative because, as you've seen already, it's more than a box, basically. It's a whole setup and a whole project. And apart from that, it's a SMART-Box, so it has auto ID elements like barcodes, like RFID. So it fits also into our strategy to move towards more serialized and data-based management of returnable assets, because we also see that let's say the linking between the digital and the physical world is becoming more and more important. And also in this case, GS1 standards is one of the enabler to do so. So we said we team up with the partners in the project, and also said we believe in the project. So made a 7-digit initial invest basically into the future of this project and also this topic of SMART-Box. There has been a question in the question section, why do we believe that it's more than a box, or whether this box can replace or has a better chance of success than proprietary solutions? Basically, that was one of the starting points, and to get, or let's say not get rid of, but have supplemented boxes towards those boxes already in use. Because the one on the left side, that's retailer-based boxes, this is nothing that you can really use for pooling. This is closed shop. This is intralogistic view. So for us, the SMART-Box opens the way basically to move from this intralogistic view more towards a cooperative asset use and management. And in this case, that makes it able for poolers like us to invest and also provide services based on this approach. The collaboration was critical in this part, not only in the technical, like Jochen said, there has been years spent on the technical part, but it's also about the organizational development, so that the partners, that retailers, industry, pooling providers, product producers of boxes teamed up and had the joint development part in it. And also taken into account that within this group of front runners, you have the acceptance and you have the commitment, which is also very important to start a project like this, and also to get somebody like us in a position that we are also able and willing to invest and buy those boxes and then suit them and provide them as services to the market. And another important part from our side is, and which is also unique to this project, is that basically from the beginning on, it was about gain and cost sharing, also between the various stakeholders in the project. So in total, this was very important for us to have these surroundings, that we were able to invest into this project and team up and be the nominated pooling provider. So basically, how does it look like? It's more or less a regular flow. So within our service centers, the boxes are prepared, stacked in a specific height, and they're strapped, they're string foiled. There are labels added to enable the transport to the industrial plants of companies. And speaking in the very moment, basically the first boxes that have been produced last week are moving towards the first industry partners. One location is located in Poland. So also you see that it's not a German project, but it's a European project. From there on, the boxes are filled and then move towards the retailers on the drugstore part, but also in the case of Germany, it's Edeka that joined the group. From there on, together with other products we already provide to those customers, they are then transported back to the depot, so they're checked, and there's like cleaning processes, repairs, or even if they are broken, they're scrapped and recycled to have, let's say, close the loop. What's important and what's the difference between those boxes and other pallets or other boxes is as it has a unique ID. Also in various parts within the chain, the ID, the unique ID is captured. And in our case, we teamed up with a company which is German and also Southern Africa-based, Trendstar. So all data, all events for the specific items are then captured and processed in the IT systems. They're linked into our IT infrastructure. So to have the whole loop, not only from a physical flow, but also from a digital flow. And last but not least, it's physical, it's digital, but it's also monetary. So of course, then the shared service fee and also day rent is then issued and going into the regular invoicing and clearing process, which we also use for all our other customers. From a technical perspective, that's also unique, which makes it the SMART-Box. So we have unique identification within the network. So this enables us to optimize the asset flows, not only from a control perspective, so because it's our property, so we of course want to know where it is and where it ends up, especially with the box, which is very suitable also for private use. So this box provides digital capturing possibilities. So we have the identification software and hardware. We have both mobile devices. We use RFID gates. So depending on the process, this box enables us and also our partners in the chain to use the specific capturing method, which is best suited for the specific process. So a lot of things that are going step by step in the ramp up. So initially not at every part or every step in the chain, it's captured from the beginning. However, as it's event based, the more steps we go for towards serialized one, the better the quality of the data, the better the assets are controlled and also the flows are used. And there was one question why this 2D barcode is that big. Basically, there's a new version in it. So the size is basically to enable camera-based reading. So basically linking both the barcode and let's say the RFID world by having a third way of capturing the box at the various process steps. So this is also something very innovative and very new. And they were teaming up in our case with the Fraunhofer Institute. So you see a lot of innovative parts within this project, because we're linking basically the physical to the digital world. And another part which is also enables linking the box to the goods inside. So removing labels and adding digital data and better quality. So basically, it's more than a box. It's a whole setup. It's a whole project, and we believe in the success. And this is why we invested and are willing to drive this forward. So in case any questions or even or samples, it's not only that you can contact GS1, but of course you can also contact us directly. And as it's a team project, we then find the best solution for the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dirk. Again, excellent view from a different angle, right, in the supply chain. We have seen from the retailer side, from the box producer side, from the pooling partner, etc. Everybody has their role to play. Now, there was one question, it was answered, but just to make it visible, and you touched upon it. Of course, there is a question, look, you're one pool provider. How does this work in the future, right? Is there any other pool provider that has shown interest? Happy to get your view on that one.
That's basic, of course, yeah. We would love to be the one and only, of course, that's true. But let's say one of the success factors of this project will be, from our perspective also, that competition is enabled, because it will not be an IPP box or a proprietary box, but this is an open, or the approach is towards an open but played by the rules approach, which enables competition on the various stages, which is very important to have, basically to pave the way towards an industry standard, because otherwise it will be a locked-in setup. And given the identification capabilities, this will or can provide a technical mean to really separate, let's say, the ownership and the usership. But this is a very interesting part, and also very innovative approach. And we will see in the future how fast and good this will be working.
All right, thank you. Karen, you see any other questions that are linked to Dirk's?
No, we had some questions popping in, but we see that GS1 Germany has been answering to them already. But Dirk, you can always have a look at them and see if you have any additional feedback. But besides that, no questions, I think. Or yeah, there's one from Deleuze, Vincent. The IT platform of Trendstar seems to be set up only for IPP. Is this the case? And will each pooler have a different solution?
Basically, we teamed up with Trendstar to enable us with to take this unique capturing. Eventually, as you have more and more, let's say, pooling providers or other companies, then of course you would have some sort of a connecting layer, basically. And this is why it's also very important that in this case the GS1 standards adapted, because then it might not be the same platform or the same IT system, but it's compatible. So this is one of the key success factors. So also we're using GS1 standards and choosing renowned Trendstar as our partner, and also linking it to our other systems.
All right, excellent. So again, if there is more questions, Dirk, please do not hesitate to address them into the question section, or we will do it afterwards. So I think that will bring us to the next speaker, right? It took a bit of effort to get Tim connected, as it goes with multinationals, and I speak from experience. Getting connected from an IT point of view is sometimes more complicated than rolling out a SMART-Box, right? So welcome, Tim, into the session, and looking forward to hear L'Oréal's perspective. The floor is yours.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Tim Christiansen. As you can see, I'm from L'Oréal Germany, and I'm happy to be here today with you to share some insights about the GS1 SMART-Box project that is currently taking place in Germany. So this was my first slide. Before we start, I would just maybe shortly introduce myself to you. I've been with the L'Oréal Group since 2015. I originally started in planning functions, demand and supply planning, but shortly moved after into a customer facing. And I'm currently the head of customer supply for our consumer products division for the German and Austrian business. The customer supply teams at L'Oréal, they combine all of our logistics functions that have a direct contact with our customers, which is first and foremost is the customer service or order management. It's the customer supply chain management that works on a tactical or more strategic level with our customers. And it's also a team called merchandise operations, which is in charge of the rollout management of our makeup boutiques at our retailers in Germany. What is my involvement in all of this? I'm part of the GS1 SMART-Box project group, and I'm also the internal coordinator at L'Oréal, because as you can imagine, a project of this size needs to align many different stakeholders. If we move to the right, I'd like to share some quick facts about the test itself. First of all, we are doing a local co-packing solution, which I think is important to understand, meaning that for the test, the products are still shipped from our factory into our warehouses in cardboard boxes, and we then locally co-pack them into the SMART-Box. So for the tests, we will unfortunately not have sustainability gains, but the reason behind this is flexibility, so that we're able to meet the demands of our customers while considering still their desired packaging material, which is currently not aligned across the customers, because also within the project, some customers, some big customers, which is good, are part of it, but not all of them. So right now we somehow have a double model or dual model of shipping. As we are the market leader in makeup cosmetics, it makes sense that, of course, we have to decide to do a test with makeup SKUs. So for the test, we have 20 different makeup SKUs of different technologies. So we have a big range of products displayed and also then sufficient learnings that we can use in order to evaluate the test.
Ja, moin. Wir können wohl mal eben so über die Probleme.
Sorry?
No, I think he was speaking unconsciously. Go on, Tim.
Okay, no worries. We use Germany here as a European test market for the SMART-Box because the challenges we face from industry side, they're not local challenges, but they're European or end-to-end challenges that we need to be addressed on a bigger scale. And we say that for Germany, we believe we have a very big and complex market with also the respective resources behind. So we believe if we can make it on the German market, we will also be able to make it successful on the other markets. On the other hand, if we cannot make it sustainably with Germany, then also it might be hard to be rolled out also on other markets. So that's why we focus on Germany as a big European market to like the test market for the whole L'Oréal group. I have now brought just some first impressions for you. You can see at the top, this is all mascaras. So it's one of our main products for cosmetic range. On the bottom, you see term products. So it's makeup products for your face. And these pictures were made during the stability test for our products. And to be fully fair, the orange boxes, they are not the smart boxes, but they are like similar boxes that are currently used at a retailer. Which we used at the very beginning. And now on the bottom right, this is the gray box. It was the trial series of the SMART-Box, which we then used, of course, for the full testing. In order to understand the circumstances we have a little bit better, I just thought I bring like a generic distribution model for illustration that we need to have end-to-end solution for implementing of the SMART-Box. This model you see here might not be 100% correct for everyone, for all of you, but I believe that we see many similarities. We all operate in an industry that sells some sort of physical products, which means everything has to start at some point with a factory or another sort of production facility. This might not be your own production, but it can also be a third-party production, like a provider that just produces your finished good. And it basically means that at some point we have the transition of like a raw material into a finished good products. From the factory, then you can either have a direct shipment to the customer, or in our case, or many cases, you have a warehouse or distribution center in between. On the right, you then see you have either the retailers that order directly the products from you and you ship it them, or depending on your business model, you also have a distributor in between, which has then replaced the middle part. Bringing now the SMART-Box into context, the situation, I would say, is rather easy if you look at it from an individual point of view. Like a single retailer can have, or they decide to use the SMART-Box, and then they order it and we ship it to them. However, if you look at the topic from like a multi-scale level, it becomes rather complex if you have a lot of different parties involved, because now you don't have like one retailer, but you have 30, 40, 50, or if you look at the European level, we have hundreds and thousands of retailers. Also, if you look at factory, you only have not one factory, but you have many factories. And all of this combined is what, for the industry, I would say, makes it difficult to roll out on a big scale. And aligning all of the different parties involved and committing all of them to like a standard from an end-to-end perspective is, for us, the most important part here. I've now brought here, I would say that is the SMART-Box vision. And this is, I think, where we all agree it's the goal to bring added value along the chain. So the first of all, and it's also the most important, it's the sustainability part. Of course, we want to reduce with the SMART-Box the cardboard box waste reduction greatly, which is, I think, the goal we all share here. Along with the reduction of cardboard boxes, of course, there will be cost optimizations for packaging material. You have lower handling costs. You have reduced waste disposal fees that will give a positive impact on our P&L. So this is also, of course, in our favor. I think we just have to make sure, but this is the case, that the rental and cleaning fees, of course, are lower than the savings we generate across the chain. I think another big or good part here is the boxes itself. They provide like an incentivization for automation within the warehouse, because right now we have a lot of different products, and then they are shipped right now in different sizes, I would say. But in the beginning, if we have a vision and we have the same container for everything, this will automatically increase the utilization rate and makes it easier for everybody to also take the decisions to do like the investments. Last but not least, is the point of standardization, which I think we can also then directly link to the GS1 standards, which we had in the beginning, that currently the cardboard boxes are the standard of the industry, and they are used by the majority of the not the retailers, but at least the industry partners. And if we then look into the future and we make it feasible that the SMART-Box becomes the standard of the German market or of the European market, it would solve, I think, a lot of challenges that we currently have, which is also I would like to show you on the next slide, which is the main challenges that we currently face within the project, and that we still have to find a solution in order to make it viable on a big scale. I put it here, and this I do it on purpose. I put in its structural changes, and it's because we don't talk about one-time investment that will solve something, because this is a big project, and at some point you have to invest, and we are willing to do so. This is not the case. What we see here, that we need to talk about like general adaptations along the chains to overcome, and this we have to do on the complete market that we operated. The first one is, it's the one size does not fit all. So it's the box and transport utilization, which is also what we see greatly within the test, that right now we have so many different products and restrictions also in terms of the handling weight, which leads to the fact that right now that the box and transport utilization of the SMART-Box is not as good as it would be compared to the cardboard option right now. And this is something we have to address. And there I can connect with Matthias mentioned before, and that he talked about like a SMART-Box family with different sizes. And this is clearly the goal, because the SMART-Box or the container itself has to match the product that is shipped in order to have the full utilization. The biggest challenge I personally see is the second one. I call it like the dual stream of flows, because at this point, we know that some retailers, they participate with the product, but not all of them. And this means that we have the same products, the same finished goods, but we ship it out in different shipping containers, which always means that we have a double flow across the complete supply chain. We have the double master data. We need not double, but we need more warehouse space. We have 2 manufacturing setups that is needed at the line. So, and this point, I think we can only overcome if really all of the retailers and all of the industries combined work on it, so that this would become some sort of standard for everybody to use. The third point, I think it's more, it's a little bit related to the specialty of our products. So it's about cosmetics. It's safety, I would put here. For example, we have like the nail polish, which is in a glass container. And there, of course, the cardbox, the outer container, is used for safety reasons. So this is something we have to address, because, of course, glass is very easily breakable. It's not a big problem, but I think if we want to have all the products included within the test or within the rollout, this is something we have to address. And then also the last points I would like to mention, also to finish with, is that the quantities per box, of course, also have to match the retailer's demand. This might not be relevant for all SKUs, because if we talk about shampoo, then everybody has enough demand to get like a box of shampoo. But if we also talk about very small SKUs or references, for example, like liners, like within one box, there can be hundreds or thousands of liners, which would then again build up a lot of stocks at the customers, which then puts like a burden or builds up risk at the retailers. So this is also something we have to take care and address carefully. This is also my last slide, so I would now thank you everybody for having me. I hope my insights were interesting, and of course I'm happy to answer some questions that you might have for my presentation.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks a lot for sharing your perspective. Maybe what we could do is, because also Reinhard is giving a supplier perspective, right? We let him first do his presentation, and then we take questions for the two of you together. Because they will...
Sure, happy to do so.
You can go next.
Okay, good afternoon. Oops. My name is Reinhard Wesp. I'm the Physical Distribution and Customization Director at P&G in DACH. And yeah, I would like to give you this afternoon, again, like Tim, the view of the industry, the manufacturers. I'm already a long-time believer in the SMART-Box. I started also with that project 5-6 years ago, as Matthias said, from GS1 Germany. And sorry, the slides are moving and I'm not doing anything. Okay, and we have done the value stream mapping already 5-6 years ago. So we looked really at the end-to-end value stream, not normally what the industry is doing into our internal value stream or transportation, but we really reached to the final destination of our products, i.e. the shelf of the retailers. And we saw that there are a lot of opportunities which we are having. We can, if we introduce a box, we could replace a lot of transportation. We could reduce a lot of touches, and also, as the others said, a lot of packing materials by introducing a standardized box. And so this would reduce really the cost of the total value stream or supply chain. Also, what was important is, if we do so, if we reduce the cost, we are also then sharing the cost of the replacement within the supply chain. So this is also something new for us, that one part is paid by the industry and the other part is paid by the retailers, as already Dirk mentioned, in terms of the pooling costs, they are being shared at the moment. In terms of the transformation, what kind of benefits do we see? And yes, it is super, super important that the GS1 or the SMART-Box is accepted by most of the industry who is using this box. So it needs to be 80%. If we always have two systems alive, there will be still a lot of waste in the end-to-end supply chain. We believe that we are seeing less waste caused by less packaging. We also see less trucks to be loaded, because with our product, we see that we can increase our truck utilization significantly. Yes, the box might not be filled completely, but today we are not filling our trucks completely. And with the SMART-Box, this is going to change significantly. And therefore, we're reducing the cost. We will have less touches in the end-to-end supply chain, like the retailers opening the boxes and putting it to different crates to be able to pick. The other thing is also, this SMART-Box is then enabling automation, as Tim already said, in our warehouses, in our picking operation, and also at the retailers. It is kind of a depalletization automation, which we have seen in some of the retailers in Germany who are already doing this. So therefore, there's a lot of opportunity which we see to go from a current carton box or corrugated box into a SMART-Box. Therefore, we're currently believing in that transformation or revolution, as I mentioned in the beginning, for the industry, or for us in the fast moving consumer good industry. Where do we see the biggest opportunity? And here it is on the transportation and also in the usage of corrugated boxes. Today, our trucks are utilized for about 50–55%. Our normal pallets are averaging 1.60 meters. And when we see the customer transportation, we are doing a lot of so-called sandwich pallets, where you've got one SKU and on one pallet, and then you put on top another SKU on another pallet, which is causing a lot of air, a lot of wood in the transport, and therefore our transport or truck utilization is very low. Tomorrow, if we think about SMART-Box, we can build for the first time 2.40 meter high pallets, either single stack or 2 × 1.20 meter. And also what we can do, and this is, I think, also something very new, is that we can build so-called mixed pallets. So yes, every box is containing one SKU. Nevertheless, we can mix the boxes on the pallet. So therefore, there's no need of sandwich pallets anymore. The retail partners can then take those boxes and those pallets and then sort them into their picking operation. This would then reduce 80% of our wooden pallets. This would also reduce then 60% trucks and therefore also CO2 emission. So in terms of the sustainability, this is a very, very big part which we see as opportunity in the future. Nevertheless, there are also challenges. We are now producing 50 years and more into corrugated boxes, and therefore our end-of-line operation is already built and automated to fill corrugated boxes. Nevertheless, we do have one operation in Germany, as you can see here, who is doing both. So this machine is doing filling boxes and also filling SRPs, shelf-ready packs. So it is, the technology is out there. Yes, it is a transformation. Yes, it is an investment. And therefore, we need to find a way to do this. And also the cost savings which we are generating with such an end-to-end revolution need to pay to transform all our machineries which we have invested into, and also the retailer investments which they have done. So therefore, it's important that this is also becoming big. Big means, and I think this is also what Tim said just a couple of minutes ago, if it's becoming only one retailer and one box and one industry partner who's doing so, this is not going to work. We need to have more partners, more industry retailers in Germany and also European to then use this box, create a European business case. We need to harmonize the boxes, so therefore it's important that we involve GS1 from the beginning, because several boxes, or not several boxes, but different standards will not work. And then we will also need a European reverse logistics. Ideally, the box is being used and then returned into a pool and in 5 kilometers distance, again filled with new product so that you can really utilize the box continuously. But the big question is, okay, how do we come from today into the future that the GS1 SMART-Box is becoming the standard for the industry, very similar to a sea container revolutionized the sea transportation. This is my last slide, and thank you for listening. And now we can take questions.
All right, thanks Tim, thanks Reinhard for your updates as suppliers. Now I think there is one question, there was a bit of answer to already that comes back, but I would like to hear both of you. So you both mentioned that there are boxes today, right, different by retailer, and now there is a smart box. So what is the one thing that makes you confident that it will work this time, right? So what is really different versus before? Maybe Tim, first, your perspective on this.
I think what is really helping, I think this is also what Reinhard mentioned, that right now I would say it's a good moderation. You know, it's like the GS1 is part in there, you know, as a middleman, I would say. And I think this really helps, because it's difficult that if we just have, because at some point it's clear, you know, that of course we want to optimize the end-to-end supply chain, but of course there's also some points, you know, where the retailers might have a different opinion or also requirements than we from industry side, you know. And I think there it's really good to have like a mediator in between that just combines or then also, yeah, forces or encourages the dialogue between all parties involved. I think this is what really is helping.
Okay, excellent. Reinhard, do you want to add anything here?
Well, as Tim said, it is super important that we have one standard. 5-10 years ago, we had already the request from our retailer partners to fill their own boxes, because they are, at least in Germany, most of the retail partners are using already boxes to deliver their shops from their DCs into their shops. And therefore, it was not feasible for us to do so. So therefore, we need somebody to set the standard, and GS1 was the right forum for this one. And then I think it's important that we have got also the end-to-end view in terms of the total supply chain that we can all benefit. And GS1 is also giving us the right forum for this one as industry and retailers, or manufacturers and retailers.
Cool. All right, so then we have actually a question from Vincent from Deleuze already, which is just confirming there is interest, right? So his question is very specific. As from when can we get deliveries in crates for Belgium already, from the German production site or from the production sites overall, I think. So I don't know if that's something you can address, but maybe just to recap a bit on the timeline that was shared before. So what could be realistic according to you based on what you know today? Just order of magnitude, right? Is it next month, next year, 5 years from now?
Yeah, maybe I can just start, because Tim already said that they are filling 20 SKUs already. So for us in Germany, we are starting with 34 SKUs introduced during the summer of our Gillette brand. We are the manufacturer who is producing in Poland. So we are producing immediately into the box. So there's no step in between, as Tim said. So we try to leverage this kind of opportunity also to get the CO2 and the transportation savings between or within our intrasite logistics. And therefore, it's really a question of can we add more SKUs to it, and how much demand do we have? Very similar to what Tim said. If majority or 80-90% of all retailers saying we would like to get the box, we are ready to do so, to move into this direction.
All right, excellent. So the future is bright, right? But it's all about starting the journey, all right? So thanks a lot, gentlemen. Let me try to recap a bit, right? So there used to be actually a famous Belgian cook. Now I think he's not famous anymore, but the quote he did is still very, very relevant. He used to say, look, what are the 3 things that we learned today? So let me try to do my best to summarize that for you. And then we're going to do a little poll to get your opinion, right? So as said before, when we think about SMART-Box, right, we said at the beginning, there is a lot of things to learn and what are kind of the success criteria. I think very clearly from all the different speakers from today, I think they are confirming it, at least on a small scale, it's feasible, right? It's not like a nice dream anymore, far away. It is specific. There are a certain dimension specified to start with. Yes, there are some things to learn on, you know, what is the magical number? Is it 6 boxes? Is it 7? Is it 4? Is it 8? Let's see step by step. But it's important about starting and then really proving the business case. So yes, it seems to be feasible. And then also on the profitable sustainability question mark, right? It's no longer the supply chain leader that is being stuck between the 2 conflicting measures. it's really proving to be, it's very promising to be matching, to meet both profitability for all the stakeholders as well as sustainability. So I think, having said that one, that's already a great start of the project, right? Now, of course, again, for those that were wondering before this session, so why is it now a GS1 topic, right? Why is it not like just a logistics forum, etc.? I think it was addressed multiple times during the presentations. This was just one slide referring to it. I would really say, look, GS1 standards are not boring, right? I mean, they're really the rock stars of the 21st century, as I used to say, because they're really the ones that are enabling this circular economy. Without a standard, both on a box dimension, right? Everybody will use different dimensions. It will never create scale. And as well on the communication flow, right? You need standards. So for example, on the interface to the pool provider, yes, maybe the interface will be different, but because they're using messages following the same standard, again, messages are compatible, and you know, you can talk just like with EDI, you can talk with different systems, still connect nicely together. So again, showing you right standards are valid for the physical world, they're valid for the digital world, and they're really nicely building together, really enabling the industry to drive value, right? Back to my initial slide. So again, trying to recap a bit, how does it move forward? As said today, I would say really the gravity point or maybe even the only point so far of the discussion was really around the German GS1 organization. And so you will see, right, they have a plan moving forward. That's what you see here on the screen. From a GS1 Belgium point of view, it was very much of a teaser to assess the interest. Clearly, Colruyt has shared a clear statement, right, on what are their intents and their timeline. I think Vincent Verdelez has been very active trying to learn more, etc. So I would really encourage you in different angles, right? On one hand, whether you're a supplier or a retailer, would reach out to your partners in the industry one-on-one and see how you can start learning, how you can make a plan. And in parallel, right, let's discuss it within the GS1 forum as well in Belgium. Is this really a standard we believe in, and how can we accelerate it, right? It's all around starting it, learning it, and then we're scaling it up. And who knows, maybe a few years from now, right, this is the new standard. And people look back like very weird to shipping carton boxes and then throw them away, which is in the end not the right thing to do anymore. All right, so I think, Karen, we have still a closing poll, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, exactly. So if you go to the poll section again, you can see the question, are you interested to join the project? And you can say, no, I'm happy with the information I've received so far. Yes, I would like to be kept in the loop, but not pilot actively at this point in time. Or yes, I would like to join the project and set up a pilot.
All right.
So we're still receiving the votes.
It looks
so
like
far,
a song contest almost. Votes are still coming in.
Yeah. So far, it seems that people would like to be kept in the loop, but not pilot actively at this point in time. But there's an interest to pilot as well. It's a lower percentage, but we've triggered something. That's good to know. All right, and then the next poll. Oh, I see it's already open. What would you recommend for the next Innovation Café? Multiple answers are possible. So we are very, very open to your feedback. All right, it looks great. Seems like more interactivity is something we can work on. Hopefully the next Innovation Café will be live, will be physical, but let's wait. Let's not be too optimistic. We'll see. But thank you so much for your feedback. And thank you for joining the session. So you will receive the recording of the session. You will also receive the slides. And you will also receive the link to a survey. And in this survey, you can also give your input. You can give your recommendations to improve the next Innovation Café. And Wouter, if you have anything else to add to that?
Yes, I would say it's easy to host if you don't have to do anything, right? So that was my role. I think big thank you to all the speakers and big thank you to Karen and the GS1 organizing team. I know there is always happening a lot of work behind the scenes. that nobody sees. So big thank you for that one. And again, looking forward, try to make this thing come true. Not everybody has to join. So for those that are really interested to step up, right, contact me, contact Karen, contact anyone in GS1, and we will make sure we can get started. All right, thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of your day, and let's stay in touch.
Thank you. Perfect. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.